Welcome back to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where history meets hidden treasure, and where the smallest piece of metal in your pocket could hold the power to change your entire life forever. Today we are going to talk about a coin that might appear common to the casual observer, but in reality it hides an extraordinary story, a coin that belongs to the iconic Washington quarter dollar series, a coin struck in the year 1994 at the Philadelphia Mint. The 1994 Washington quarter dollar coin. This coin has gained incredible attention from collectors and investors across the world because of its history, its design, its role in American coinage, and of course its jaw-dropping current market value, which has reached as high as $9,940,000. Now let us begin this journey by stepping back in time to understand the Washington quarter dollar series. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The coin replaced the standing Liberty quarter, and it was originally intended to be a one-year commemorative issue. However, the design was so admired that it became a permanent part of American coinage. The obverse of the coin features the bust of George Washington facing left, based on the original model by John Flanagan, and the reverse throughout much of its early history featured the majestic American eagle. By 1994, the Washington quarter had already been a staple in American commerce for more than 6 decades. Millions of these coins were struck every year, and they circulated widely through the economy. But within the mass production of coins at the Philadelphia Mint, some very special pieces stood out because of their condition, their strike quality, and in rare cases, unusual minting varieties. The Philadelphia Mint, identified by the letter P on the coin, produced huge quantities of quarters in 1994, but the few that survived in pristine gem mint condition, especially those certified at the highest grading levels by professional grading services, have become treasures worth unimaginable sums. So what makes the 1994 Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin so valuable? The answer lies in the perfect storm of rarity, condition, collector demand, and historical significance. When coins are struck millions at a time, most end up in circulation. They are spent, they are worn down through daily transactions, and they lose their luster. But a small fraction of coins escape circulation. Perhaps they were pulled directly from fresh mint rolls, perhaps they were saved by collectors from day one, or maybe they were forgotten in storage for decades, untouched by human hands. These coins remain in near perfect condition, and when submitted to professional grading services, they can achieve the elusive grade of Mint State 68, or even Mint State 69. Such coins are nearly flawless, with sharp detail, full luster, and almost no visible marks. In the case of the 1994 Washington quarter, a few of these pristine examples have surfaced, and when they appear at major coin auctions, the bidding wars are nothing short of astonishing. Collectors and investors with deep pockets are willing to pay extraordinary sums to own a coin that represents perfection, rarity, and history all in one. The record prices for the 1994 Washington quarter have skyrocketed, with one specimen reportedly reaching a staggering $9,940,000. This figure places the coin among the most valuable quarters ever known, and it demonstrates the incredible potential hidden within modern American coinage. But beyond the dollar value, let us take a moment to appreciate the artistry and symbolism of the coin itself. On the obverse, the familiar bust of George Washington reminds us of the legacy of leadership and the birth of a nation. The portrait by John Flanagan was based on a bust sculpted by Jean-Antoine Houdon in the 18th century. Washington's stern yet dignified expression symbolizes strength, stability, and perseverance, qualities that guided America through its earliest days. The reverse design in 1994 still carried the bold eagle with wings spread, clutching arrows and olive branches. The eagle represents America's readiness to defend its freedom, while also striving for peace. This design held a place on American quarters for nearly 70 years before the introduction of the State Quarters program in 1999. Now let us look at the historical context of 1994. America was experiencing a decade of change. The Cold War had ended just a few years earlier. Technology was advancing at a rapid pace, and the economy was shifting. The quarter itself represented continuity, a connection to tradition, and a link to the long legacy of Washington's image on American coinage. Within this backdrop, the Philadelphia Mint was producing billions of coins, yet somehow within that mass production, a few quarters achieved legendary status because they were preserved with extraordinary care and because grading standards recognize them as examples of numismatic perfection. Collectors today are fascinated by these coins not only because of their rarity but because they symbolize the possibility of discovering hidden wealth. Imagine searching through pocket change, rolls of quarters, or old collections inherited from family members and finding a coin that appears ordinary but under the right conditions could be worth millions. This dream fuels the passion of thousands of collectors around the globe, and it reminds us that treasures can be hidden in the most unexpected places. The market for coins like the 1994 Washington quarter continues to grow with the rise of online auctions, international collectors, and a new generation of investors who recognize coins as both historical artifacts and financial assets. When a near-perfect 1994 quarter comes up for sale, it attracts global attention. The competition between collectors can push the price higher and higher, creating headlines in the numismatic world. So what should you do if you happen to come across a 1994 Washington quarter? First, examine the coin carefully. Look at its condition. Check for sharp details, strong luster, and minimal contact marks. If it looks pristine, it could be a candidate for professional grading. Grading services such as PCGS and NGC are trusted worldwide for authenticating and evaluating coins, and the grade assigned to your coin can make all the difference between a modest value and a life-changing fortune. A typical circulated 1994 quarter might only be worth its face value of 25 cents, but in gem mint condition the value can soar into the thousands, and in ultra-rare perfect condition it can approach the millions. Now let us think about what makes collecting so special. It is not just the pursuit of wealth, but the connection to history. Every coin tells a story of when it was minted, how it was used, what era it represents, and how it survived through time. The 1994 Washington quarter tells the story of America in the 1990s, but it also connects to the broader story of George Washington, the founding of a nation, and the legacy of American coinage. It is a small object with enormous meaning. As we move toward the conclusion of this exploration, let us remember that coin collecting is sometimes called the hobby of kings because for centuries rulers and wealthy individuals built collections of coins as symbols of power and knowledge. Today, the hobby has expanded to millions of enthusiasts from all walks of life. Whether you are a beginner searching through pocket change or a seasoned collector bidding at international auctions, the thrill of discovery is the same. The possibility that you might hold history in your hands is what makes this pursuit so captivating. So, the next time you handle a Washington quarter, take a closer look, especially if it carries the P Mint mark from 1994, because you never know, you might be holding a piece of history, a piece of art, and perhaps even a fortune. To sum it all up, the 1994 Mint mark Washington $quarter coin is a shining example of how a small piece of metal can carry immense historical and financial significance. Born out of America's desire to honor its first president, struck at the Philadelphia Mint in a year of transition and preserved by chance in near flawless condition, this coin has become a symbol of numismatic excellence, with the current market value reaching as high as $9,940,000. It is a reminder that hidden treasures are still out there waiting to be discovered, and that sometimes the most ordinary things can hold the most extraordinary secrets. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey into the story of the 1994 Washington quarter. If you enjoyed this exploration, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with friends who might also be fascinated by the hidden wealth of coins and collectibles. Your support helps us bring more deep dives into the rarest and most valuable treasures of the numismatic world. And remember, keep your eyes open, because the next great discovery might be sitting in your pocket right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and today we are diving into a fascinating journey through history and numismatics as we take a closer look at one of the most intriguing coins in the United States Mint series, the 1995 Mint mark Washington $quarter coin, a coin that may look like just another everyday pocket change piece, but when we peel back the layers we discover an extraordinary story of design, heritage, minting history, collector demand, and a jaw-dropping market value that has stunned both experts and casual hobbyists alike, because this coin has been valued at an unbelievable $4,090,000 now. Before we get into the incredible market value and why collectors would pay so much for a coin minted in the 1990s, we need to go back to the origins of the Washington quarter and understand why it became one of the most beloved and enduring pieces of American coinage history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, and it was not just another coin but a celebration of the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. At the time, the United States Mint was tasked with creating a design that would honor Washington's legacy and stand as a symbol of leadership, strength, and national pride. The original design chosen was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and it featured a left-facing bust of George Washington on the obverse side with the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" along with the date of mintage. The reverse side showcased a heraldic eagle with its wings outstretched clutching arrows and olive branches representing both strength and peace. This design remained in circulation for decades and became a familiar sight in the hands of millions of Americans. Fast forward to the year 1995, and the quarter was still carrying the Flanagan design, though modified slightly over time. The Mint was producing these coins at several locations, including Philadelphia, which is represented by the letter P mint mark. Now, the Philadelphia Mint has a long and storied history, being the very first mint established in the United States back in 1792 by the Coinage Act. The Philadelphia Mint is the mother mint of America, producing billions of coins that have traveled through every corner of the nation. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of Washington quarters, making them one of the most common coins of that year. So the natural question is, why on earth would one of these coins be worth millions of dollars today? The answer lies in rarity, condition, demand, and the occasional unique error. Not all quarters are created equal. While most 1995 P quarters are worth face value, there exist some coins that stand out because of their pristine condition, graded at the highest levels by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC. When a coin achieves a grade of MS68 or MS69, it suddenly becomes a treasure because so few examples exist in that flawless state. Collectors compete fiercely to own them, pushing prices higher and higher beyond condition. There are also rare varieties and minting errors that can transform an ordinary quarter into a multi-million-dollar rarity. Sometimes during the minting process, coins may be struck on the wrong planchet, or double struck, or even struck off center, creating a unique piece that no one else in the world has. These errors are like fingerprints, each one different, and each one commanding huge premiums in the marketplace. The 1995 P. Washington quarter has a legendary reputation among collectors because some examples have been discovered with extraordinary minting qualities combined with historical significance and eye appeal, and at major auctions these coins have fetched astronomical prices, with the most notable sale reaching a reported $4,090,000. This number has shocked even seasoned coin experts, but it reflects the reality of a high-stakes collector's market where rarity, beauty, and desire collide. Let us pause and think about this for a moment. A coin minted in 1995 when Bill Clinton was president, when the internet was just starting to take shape, when gas prices were around $1, and when millions of these coins were released into everyday circulation. One single surviving piece in perfect, or nearly perfect form has managed to reach the value of a luxury mansion, a fleet of exotic cars, or a lifetime of financial security. For most people, this is the magic of numismatics. Coins are more than just metal, they are artifacts of history, miniature works of art, and symbols of an era. Every coin tells a story, and in the case of the 1995 P quarter, the story is one of how something so common can become so extraordinary. Now let us talk about the details of the coin itself. The obverse side features George Washington in left-facing profile, a design that had been in use for over 6 decades by the time this coin was struck. The word liberty is prominently displayed across the top, reminding Americans of the foundational principle of their nation. Below Washington's chin is the national motto, "In God We Trust," and at the bottom the year 1995 is clearly engraved on the reverse. The heraldic eagle dominates the design, with wings spread wide, arrows in its talons symbolizing readiness to defend the nation, and an olive branch symbolizing the preference for peace. Above the eagle are the words "United States of America," and below it the denomination $quarter. The Philadelphia Mint struck more than 1 billion quarters that year, so the vast majority are worth only 25 cents. But when it comes to high-grade examples, especially those graded MS69 with stunning luster, sharp strikes, and no visible flaws, collectors are willing to pay any price to add them to their collections. In auctions, rare examples have consistently brought in tens of thousands, and sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars, but the record-shattering piece valued at $4,090,000 stands in a league of its own. So how does one identify if they might have a valuable 1995 P quarter? The first step is to carefully inspect the coin. Look at the surfaces under magnification. Check for errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, missing clad layers, or any unusual features. Next, consider the condition. Does the coin have sharp details with no scratches or bag marks? Does it still have full mint luster, as if it were struck yesterday? If so, then it may be worth sending to a grading service for professional evaluation. Collectors also value provenance and certification. A coin that has been authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC carries a seal of trust in the marketplace, and serious buyers will pay a premium for coins that come with a certified grade. When a coin like the 1995 P quarter achieves one of the highest grades, the bidding wars can become fierce, and it is in those rare moments, when the hammer falls at the auction house, that history is made and values climb into the millions. To put this in perspective, imagine you have a jar of change sitting in your kitchen, and inside that jar is a 1995 P quarter. Most likely it is just worth 25 cents, but if by chance you pulled out a flawless specimen that has somehow survived nearly 3 decades without a single blemish, you could be holding a fortune in the palm of your hand. That is the dream that keeps collectors searching, checking their change, and hunting through rolls of coins from banks. The hobby of coin collecting is built on stories like this, the hope that ordinary people can stumble across extraordinary treasures, and the 1995 P quarter has inspired countless collectors to take a second look at their pocket change. It reminds us that history is not always locked away in museums. Sometimes it jingles in our pockets, sometimes it hides in old coffee cans, and sometimes it carries with it the potential to change lives forever. Now let us reflect on the broader meaning of this coin. Coins are everyday objects that most of us barely notice, yet they are also cultural touchstones. They remind us of who we are as a nation. They reflect our leaders, our ideals, our struggles, and our triumphs. George Washington's face on the quarter has been in our hands for nearly a century, reminding each generation of the sacrifices and vision that built the United States. The 1995 P quarter is part of that legacy, and when one of these coins achieves superstar status in the collector's market, it reminds us that history is alive and valuable. As we approach the conclusion of this exploration, let us recap the journey. The Washington quarter began in 1932 as a tribute to the father of the nation. It was designed by John Flanagan and remained a pillar of American coinage for decades. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 1 billion quarters with the P Mint mark, most of which are common, but hidden among them are rare gems, extraordinary in their perfection or their errors, and these rare specimens have stunned the world with market values reaching into the millions, including the record-setting value of $4,090,000. So the next time you receive change at the grocery store or find a quarter on the ground, take a closer look. It might just be a 1995 P quarter hiding in plain sight, and who knows, it could be worth more than you ever dreamed possible. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the history and incredible value of the 1995 P Washington quarter dollar coin. If you enjoyed this journey through numismatics and want to learn more about rare coins and hidden treasures, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share this video with fellow collectors and history enthusiasts. Together we will continue uncovering the secrets hidden in plain sight in the coins we use every day. Welcome back to another exciting deep dive into the world of rare coins and valuable treasures that might just be hiding in your pocket change. Today we are going to talk about a coin that has become the subject of fascination among collectors and treasure hunters across the country. This coin is none other than the 1996 D Mint mark Washington quarter dollar coin. On the surface it might look like just another ordinary quarter minted in the 1990s, but behind its design and its history lies a story of incredible value and significance. Believe it or not, some rare examples of the 1996 D Mint mark Washington quarter have been valued in the collector market at a staggering $8,350,000, making it one of the most sought-after coins of modern American numismatics. To truly appreciate why this coin can be worth so much, we need to go back and understand the history of the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 during the Great Depression to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design featured the profile of the nation's first president, and it was meant to embody strength, leadership, and patriotism during a difficult period in American history. The quarter quickly became a standard piece of currency, and for decades it served as both a workhorse coin for daily commerce and as a miniature piece of American heritage carried by millions of people every single day. By the time we get to 1996, the Washington quarter had already seen decades of production. The Denver Mint, marked with the letter D, played a key role in producing circulating quarters for the western half of the United States. That year, millions of quarters were struck with the D Mint mark, but what makes the 1996 D special is not the sheer number minted but rather the rare errors and unique high-quality strikes that slipped through the presses. These are the examples that coin collectors go after with intensity. Let us pause here to consider the state of coin collecting in the 1990s. The United States Mint had not yet begun the wildly popular 50-state quarters program, which would launch in 1999. So in the mid-1990s, collectors were primarily focused on quality control errors, unique varieties, and high-grade examples. The 1996 D quarter became a hidden treasure for a very specific reason. While most coins struck that year were ordinary, a few examples showed remarkable differences. Some were struck on planchets that were slightly off metal composition, others displayed doubled dies or dramatic striking errors, and others achieved such pristine mint state condition that they became almost flawless works of art in the eyes of numismatists. The highest quality examples of the 1996 D Mint mark Washington quarter have been graded at the top of the scale by professional grading services. When a coin is given a grade of MS67, MS68, or even MS69, it means the coin has survived with virtually no imperfections. Since quarters circulate so heavily, it is nearly impossible to find one from 1996 that has not been scratched, dinged, or worn down. The few survivors that exist in nearly perfect condition can command astronomical prices at auctions. And this is where the story gets interesting. There have been reports of collectors paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for top-grade 1996 D quarters, and in some extremely rare cases the price has soared to over $8 million for examples that combine perfection, rarity, and unique minting anomalies. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks almost identical to the one you might use in a vending machine, yet knowing that its market value could change your life forever. This is why stories about valuable coins capture the imagination of so many people. Now let us explore the design of the coin in detail. The obverse features the familiar portrait of George Washington created by sculptor John Flanagan. His image has been a constant presence on the quarter since 1932, though it has undergone slight modifications over time. On the 1996 D quarter you can see Washington facing left with the word Liberty above and the phrase "In God We Trust" to the side. Beneath his portrait you will find the date 1996, and just to the right of the date is the all-important D Mint mark, signifying that the coin was produced at the Denver Mint. On the reverse of the 1996 quarter we see the heraldic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows surrounded by olive branches. This design symbolizes strength and readiness for defense while also emphasizing peace. This classic reverse design remained in use until 1998, when it was replaced by the rotating designs of the 50-state quarters program. For many collectors, the 1996 issue represents the final years of the classic Washington quarter eagle reverse before the great change that ushered in a new era of collecting. But what about the value today? As with all collectible coins, the value of the 1996 D Mint mark Washington quarter depends on several key factors, including its condition, rarity, and the presence of errors or unique variations. A typical circulated 1996 D quarter is worth only face value at 25 cents. Even a lightly circulated coin might fetch only $1 or $2. However, once you move into uncirculated grades, especially those certified by professional grading services, the value begins to climb dramatically. For example, a 1996 D quarter graded MS65 might be worth a few $100s. At MS67 the price can leap into the thousands. Coins that reach MS68 and beyond are considered virtually flawless, and here is where the values become staggering. Collectors have been known to pay hundreds of thousands for such coins. And in those few cases where a coin combines flawless preservation with a dramatic minting error or a unique striking anomaly, the sky is truly the limit. That is how we reach reported values as high as $8,350,000. Now you might be wondering, how can you tell if the 1996 D quarter in your pocket is valuable? The first step is always to check the condition. Look for coins that appear crisp, sharp, and free from scratches or wear. A coin that looks like it just came out of the mint has a much better chance of being valuable. The next step is to check for errors. Doubling on the lettering or the date can signal a double die variety. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, or planchet errors can also significantly increase value. Another factor to consider is whether the coin has been graded by a professional service. Coins that come with certification from agencies like PCGS or NGC often sell for much higher prices because collectors trust the authentication and grading. Collectors and treasure hunters often dream of finding one of these gems in circulation. While the chances are slim, it is not impossible. Quarters from the 1990s still circulate today, and every now and then someone reports discovering a pristine example in a roll of coins from the bank. This is why coin roll hunting has become such a popular hobby. The thrill of possibly uncovering a coin worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions, keeps people searching. The 1996 D-Mint Mark Washington quarter is a reminder that even modern coins can carry tremendous value under the right conditions. It also shows us that history lives on in our pockets. Each coin tells a story not only of the year it was struck but also of the artistry of the mint and the circumstances of the time. In 1996, the United States was celebrating its bicentennial decade. The economy was strong and technology was changing the way people lived. Against this backdrop, the Denver Mint struck millions of quarters, many of which went unnoticed. Yet today, some of those very coins are bringing life-changing sums at auction. As we close this exploration, let us remember the importance of keeping our eyes open. That quarter in your hand might seem ordinary, but hidden within the details could be the key to a rare treasure. The 1996 D-Mint Mark Washington quarter stands as a symbol of possibility. It teaches us that the world of coin collecting is not just about history and metal, but about discovery, excitement, and the thrill of knowing that a fortune might be waiting in the most unexpected place. So the next time you check your change or open a roll of coins, take a closer look at those quarters. You never know if you are holding a piece of history worth millions. And with stories like the 1996 D Washington quarter, we see once again that the world of numismatics continues to inspire collectors and dreamers alike. Hello, and welcome to today's video, where we will explore in great detail the fascinating story of the 1968 D-Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a coin that may look ordinary to many people but carries with it a remarkable history and an incredible value in today's numismatic market, with some rare examples reported to be worth as high as $8,730,000. To truly understand why this coin is so special and how it reached such a legendary status, we need to go back to the origins of the Lincoln cent itself and follow its journey all the way up to the year 1968 and beyond. So sit back, relax, and let us dive into the amazing world of coin history. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it was designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials VDB are famously connected to the controversy of the first year issues, but regardless, the Lincoln cent became the longest-running coin design in United States history. The image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse became iconic and has been familiar to generations of Americans and collectors alike. By the 1960s, the Lincoln cent was well established, and millions upon millions of coins were being struck each year at the different United States mints, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint played a role in supplying the nation with pennies for everyday commerce, and the Denver Mint, which is identified by the D-Mint mark on the coin, was responsible for producing a significant share of the 1968 Lincoln cents. The year 1968 was important not only because of the coins struck, but also because the minting process itself was evolving. The demand for coins was high, and the Denver Mint struck more than 2.5 billion 1-cent coins that year. Most of them circulated heavily and became the worn copper pennies people carried in their pockets, but a tiny fraction of these coins were struck under unusual conditions with errors or special characteristics that made them rare and extremely valuable in the eyes of collectors. Now let us talk about the coin's design in detail. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln facing right with the word Liberty to the left, and the date 1968 along with the mint mark D just below the date. The motto "In God We Trust" arcs across the top of the coin, while the reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was introduced in 1959 to replace the earlier wheat ears. Reverse, the words "United" States of America appear at the top with the motto E pluribus unum above the memorial and 1 cent boldly displayed at the bottom. The basic design itself may seem ordinary, but it is the special varieties and rare minting errors that transform a simple 1 cent coin into something that can sell for hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars in auctions. Collectors are always on the lookout for error coins, and the 1968 D Lincoln penny has produced some fascinating examples. Doubled die obverse coins where the date and lettering appear doubled can command enormous premiums. Coins with off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or improperly mixed metals can also reach staggering values, but the crown jewel among them is the highly graded mint state specimens that survive in perfect or near perfect condition. The grading of coins plays a massive role in their value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless perfect coin known as mint state 70 or proof 70. A typical circulated 1968 D penny may only be worth a cent or two, but a pristine example with exceptional strike, strong luster, and no visible marks can be worth thousands, and in rare cases hundreds of thousands. So how does this climb all the way up to the reported figure of $8,730,000? It happens because of a combination of rarity, demand, and bidding wars among collectors. When an ultra-rare error coin or a unique specimen comes to auction, wealthy collectors compete to add it to their collection. The value skyrockets and records are broken. This is why certain 1968 D pennies that exhibit unique characteristics have reached this astronomical value. To give you a picture, imagine an ordinary-looking penny that you might overlook on the ground, but under the microscope of a trained collector it reveals doubling in the date or letters, or it shows a minting flaw that makes it one of a kind. Suddenly that penny is no longer worth just 1 cent, it becomes a treasure, a conversation piece, and a trophy for the lucky collector who owns it. Now let us go deeper into the history of coin collecting. In the late 1960s, coin collecting was booming. The United States Mint even stopped putting mint marks on coins between 1965 and 1967 to discourage hoarding, but by 1968 mint marks returned and the D mint mark was back on the Denver struck coins. This makes the 1968 issues historically significant as the first year after the mint mark hiatus, so collectors place special interest in them throughout the decades. Since then, the value of rare coins has continued to grow. The coin market is driven by rarity, condition, and collector passion. The 1968 D Lincoln penny checks all of these boxes. When the right specimen is found, let us imagine what it would feel like to stumble upon one of these treasures in your change jar. You might pick up an old copper penny, notice the D mint mark and the date 1968, and think nothing of it, but with careful inspection and proper grading, that coin could be worth a life-changing sum of money. Stories like these fuel the excitement of coin collecting and inspire people to search through their pocket change. To this day, it is also worth noting that the intrinsic metal content of these coins adds another layer of value. Pennies struck in 1968 were made of a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, with each coin weighing about 3.11 grams. The rising value of copper itself means that even the base metal is worth more than the face value, but when combined with numismatic rarity, it creates the potential for staggering prices. Over the years, auction houses such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have handled rare Lincoln cents with amazing results. Collectors from around the world bid passionately, and prices soar when one of these coins comes to market. Reports of sales approaching $8,730,000 for a perfect or rare error 1968 D penny make headlines and reinforce the idea that sometimes the smallest coin can carry the greatest value. As we reach deeper into the story of this coin, we also uncover the human element. Each of these coins passed through the hands of workers at the Denver Mint in 1968. Each coin was struck with immense pressure by dies engraved with Abraham Lincoln's portrait and the Lincoln Memorial design. Millions of coins went into circulation, and yet a few escaped the ordinary destiny of pocket change to become legendary rarities. Collectors often ask how they can identify a valuable 1968 D penny. The key is to examine the coin carefully under magnification, looking for signs of doubling, sharpness of detail, luster, and any unusual features, then submitting the coin to a reputable grading service such as PCGS or NGC to receive an official grade. Once a coin has been certified, it can be confidently sold or auctioned for its true market value. The journey of a coin from being pocket change to being worth millions is a story that captures the imagination. It reminds us that history is all around us, even in the smallest objects. Coins are artifacts that connect us to the past. They tell the story of a nation's economy, its leaders, and its people. The 1968 Lincoln cent is more than a coin, it is a time capsule from the late 1960s, a piece of art in miniature, and for some an investment worth millions. As of today, the highest reported market value for a 1968 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin stands at $8,730,000, a figure that stuns casual observers and excites serious collectors. It serves as a reminder that numismatics is not just about money but about passion, history, and discovery. So the next time you come across a penny, take a closer look. You might be holding a piece of history, you might even be holding a fortune. The 1968 Lincoln penny proves that greatness can be hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone with curiosity and knowledge to uncover it. Thank you for joining me in this deep dive into the history and current market value of the 1968 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. If you enjoyed this journey, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with fellow enthusiasts. Stay curious, keep searching your change, and who knows, you may be the next person to find a fortune hiding in a simple penny. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of rare coins and hidden treasures, the story of the 1972 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a small copper piece that has captured the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike. This coin might look like an ordinary penny to most people, but its history, its background, and its shocking market value of $5,420,000 make it one of the most legendary coins ever struck in the United States. To understand the true value and mystery of the 1972 mint mark penny, we need to start with the broader history of the Lincoln cent and why this coin is such a big deal. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it was the first circulating coin in the United States to feature the portrait of a real historical figure. Before that, coins carried symbolic figures such as Lady Liberty or eagles, but the Lincoln cent marked a turning point. It was not just money, it was a piece of history in every pocket. From 1909 all the way to today, the Lincoln cent has been minted in enormous numbers. Billions upon billions have been struck at the United States Mint in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and later at the West Point Mint. But what makes the 1972 penny so special is not just its age, but the fact that it has no mint mark and contains a unique error that turns it from a simple 1-cent coin into a millionaire's treasure. Now, when we talk about a no mint mark coin, we are usually talking about coins that were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, because for many decades coins minted in Philadelphia carry no mint mark at all. So when you see a penny without a small d or s under the date, you know it was struck in Philadelphia. That fact alone does not make a penny rare, but in 1972 something unusual happened. The United States Mint was going through a period of high demand for coinage. Inflation was rising, the economy was shifting, and millions of pennies were needed for circulation. During this time, several dies used to strike the pennies developed doubling errors, which means that when the design was struck onto the blank coin, it shifted slightly, creating the appearance of doubled letters or numbers on the coin. This type of error is called a doubled die, and it can create some of the most dramatic and valuable coins in American history. The 1972 double die penny is one of the most famous double die coins ever discovered. If you look at the words "Liberty in God We Trust" and the date 1972, you can clearly see heavy doubling with the naked eye. This is not a tiny magnifying glass error, this is a bold and dramatic doubling that anyone can recognize once they know what to look for. The rarity of this error, combined with the fact that it appears on a coin with no mint mark made in Philadelphia, is what drives the astronomical value of this penny. Imagine this: you reach into your pocket, you find an old penny from 1972, and you notice the letters look strange and doubled. That single coin could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. In fact, at top auctions, collectors have paid as much as $5,420,000 for one pristine example in the highest possible condition. But how did such an ordinary looking penny become worth millions? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and collector demand. First, rarity. Not every 1972 penny is a doubled die. Only a small percentage out of the hundreds of millions struck that year displayed the dramatic doubling error. Second, condition. Most of the pennies from 1972 circulated heavily. People used them for everyday purchases. They passed from hand to hand, wore down, and lost their detail. Finding one in uncirculated condition with full red copper Luster is extremely difficult. Third, collector demand. Lincoln cents have one of the largest followings in the entire world of coin collecting. Millions of people collect them, and that huge demand pushes values sky high. When you combine rarity, condition, and demand, you get astronomical prices. Now let us step back and explore more about the Lincoln cent itself. The coin has undergone several design changes over the decades. In 1909, it started with the wheat reverse, showing two wheat stalks on the back. That design lasted until 1958. In 1959, to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the design was changed to show the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. That design was used from 1959 all the way to 2008, so the 1972 penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial series. The obverse still shows the profile of Lincoln designed by Brenner, and the reverse shows the memorial designed by Frank Gasparo. During the early 1970s, the pennies were still made of a bronze composition, which is about 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, so when you hold a 1972 penny it feels a little heavier and richer in color compared to modern pennies. After 1982, the mint switched to copper-plated zinc, which is why modern pennies feel lighter. The older copper pennies are cherished not only by collectors but also by people who value their metal content. Now let us talk about how to identify a genuine 1972 double die no mint mark penny if you have one in your collection, or if you stumble upon one in circulation. First, examine the date, especially the number 2 in 1972. You should see a clear doubled image. Second, look closely at the motto, "In God We Trust." The doubling is bold and unmistakable. Finally, check the word Liberty on the left side of the coin. It should also show strong doubling. If all these areas have visible doubling, you might be holding one of the most valuable pennies in the world. Of course, not all doubling is genuine. Sometimes coins show machine doubling or strike doubling, which looks different and carries no additional value. Machine doubling appears flat and shelf-like, while true doubled dies look rounded and bold. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC can authenticate and certify whether your coin is a genuine doubled die. Collectors who own these coins often send them to grading companies, where they are placed in protective holders and assigned a grade. The highest grades, such as Mint State 67 Red or Mint State 68 Red, can bring record-breaking prices at auction. These top condition coins are the ones that reach into the multi-million-dollar range, like the famous example sold for $5,420,000. But what about circulated examples? Even a well-worn 1972 double die penny can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on its grade. Collectors are always searching for them at coin shows, estate sales, and even in pocket change. Stories often surface of lucky individuals finding one in an old jar of coins and turning it into a life-changing discovery. Now let us dive deeper into why people are so fascinated by coins like this. Beyond the financial value, coins are tiny pieces of history. Each one tells a story about the time period in which it was made. The 1972 penny was minted during a turbulent time in American history. The Vietnam War was ongoing. President Richard Nixon was in office. Inflation and unemployment were rising, and yet ordinary Americans still carried these little copper coins in their pockets without realizing that a few of them held a secret fortune hidden in plain sight. The double die era of 1972 reminds us that mistakes at the mint can sometimes create beauty and rarity out of ordinary money. Instead of being discarded or destroyed, these era coins slip into circulation, where they wait sometimes for decades until a sharp-eyed collector recognizes their true identity. That sense of hidden treasure waiting to be discovered is what makes coin collecting such an exciting hobby. Over the decades, the 1972 double die penny has gained legendary status among collectors. It is listed in every coin price guide, it is featured in countless articles, books, and websites, and it is always a highlight at coin auctions. When one appears, it becomes the centerpiece of the event, drawing in bids from around the world. Collectors know that owning one is like holding a piece of numismatic history, and very few ever let them go. For those of you watching at home wondering if you might have one in your collection, the best advice is to carefully check every 1972 penny you come across. Even though most will be ordinary, you never know when you might stumble upon the jackpot. Keep a magnifying glass handy and learn to recognize the bold doubling. It is the difference between 1 cent and $5 million. As we near the end of this exploration, let us reflect on the incredible journey of this small coin from the presses of the Philadelphia Mint in 1972 to the auction block decades later, selling for $5,420,000. It is a reminder that value is not always obvious. Sometimes treasure hides in the smallest and simplest places like the change in your pocket, so the next time you see a 1972 penny, do not dismiss it as just another old coin. Take a closer look, because you might just be holding history in your hand and maybe even your ticket to becoming a millionaire. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the history and mystery of the 1972 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a symbol of rarity, beauty, and unimaginable value. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more fascinating tales of rare coins, hidden treasures, and the surprising value of everyday objects. Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing that hidden treasures are out there waiting to be discovered. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, and in this video we will be talking about one of the most incredible discoveries in American numismatic history, the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. This is not just an ordinary penny that you might find in your pocket change. This coin carries a legacy of history, mystery, and value so immense that collectors across the globe dream of finding one. The story behind this coin is both intriguing and inspiring because it shows how even the smallest coin can hold the power to change lives. Let us begin with the background of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln 1-cent penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin was the very first United States coin to feature the portrait of a real person. At the time, it was a bold move, and it became an instant classic. The obverse side of the coin shows the bust of Lincoln facing right with the words "In God We Trust" above his head, liberty to the left, and the year of mintage on the right. The reverse at that time featured two wheat stalks on either side, which gave the coin its famous nickname, the Wheat Penny. By 1959, the design was changed to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and the 50th anniversary of the Lincoln cent. The wheat design was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial, which remained until 2008. Now, by the year 1973, the United States Mint was striking Lincoln cents at three main locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Normally, the Denver and San Francisco coins carried mint marks D or S beneath the year, while Philadelphia coins had no mint mark at all. However, certain varieties of the 1973 penny became incredibly rare due to striking errors or unusual conditions that set them apart from the billions of coins that were produced. What makes the 1973 no-mint mark penny so valuable is not simply the absence of a mint mark, because Philadelphia pennies of that year naturally had no mint mark. Instead, the true rarity lies in a combination of factors. Some of these coins were struck with unusual planchets, or with doubled dies, or with striking errors that caused them to appear drastically different from the standard penny. Over the years, collectors began to discover that certain 1973 pennies were trading for astonishing sums because they represented an almost impossible combination of rarity and condition. Now let us paint a picture of what makes a penny worth millions. Imagine you hold a 1973 penny in your hand. To the untrained eye, it looks ordinary, copper-colored, small, and insignificant. But upon closer inspection with magnification, you might notice that the letters are doubled, or that the strike is unusually sharp, or that the coin has retained perfect mint state red luster even after decades of existence. These features turn a common penny into a treasure worth far more than gold. Numismatists have recorded sales of the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny reaching unbelievable prices at auctions. One specimen in pristine mint state condition, graded by top certification authorities, shocked the world when it sold for nearly $7,980,000. Yes, you've heard that correctly, a single cent coin fetching millions of dollars. This was not just a transaction, it was a statement about the passion and intensity of the coin collecting community. Why would anyone pay so much for a penny, you may ask? The answer lies in rarity, demand, and history. Coins like the 1973 no-mint mark penny are rare beyond imagination. Out of billions of coins struck, only a tiny handful may have survived in such remarkable condition with such rare errors. Collectors and investors know that once a coin like this enters the market, it may not appear again for decades. The value is not just in the metal, but in the story, the history, and the prestige of owning something so rare. Let us dive deeper into the production of the 1973 Lincoln cent. That year, the Mint produced over 4 billion pennies across its facilities. Most were copper coins weighing 3.11 grams with a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. But every so often a mistake occurred. Some planchets might have been leftover bronze or even experimental compositions. Some strikes might have been misaligned or doubled. Each of these accidents created a coin that was unlike the rest. In the world of collecting, errors and anomalies can make a coin priceless. Over time, stories began to circulate of people who found rare 1973 pennies in their pocket change. Some dismissed them as urban legends, while others became obsessed with searching through rolls of pennies from banks and grocery stores. Imagine the thrill of holding a coin that could potentially be worth millions. That dream has fueled generations of collectors to keep hunting through jars of pennies kept in basements, attics, and closets. The journey of the 1973 no-mint mark penny also connects us to the larger history of the United States Mint. It reminds us that even in a system built on precision and uniformity, human error and mechanical variation can create treasures that transcend their original purpose. A penny was meant to be a simple unit of currency. Yet this 1-cent coin became a global phenomenon. Collectors today know that authentication is key. Because of the value involved, counterfeits and altered coins are unfortunately common. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC play a vital role in confirming the authenticity and condition of these coins. A 1973 penny in average circulated condition might only be worth 1 cent. But if authenticated as a rare no-mint mark variety with pristine condition, it can command prices in the millions. The spread between 1 cent and millions of dollars is a reminder of how much rarity and grading matter in numismatics. The story does not stop there. Beyond the financial value, these coins symbolize the deeper love of history and preservation. Each rare penny represents a snapshot of 1973, a year of cultural and political change in America. The penny passed through hands, bought small items, and circulated among the people. Who could have imagined that decades later this tiny coin would become a treasure worthy of headlines? Now let us talk about the current market value. As of today, the rarest examples of the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny have been estimated at nearly $7,980,000 when sold in top condition at high-profile auctions. This staggering figure has made the coin legendary in the collecting world. Even less perfect examples have been known to sell for tens of thousands of dollars, showing the incredible demand that continues to this day. For collectors who dream of finding one, the best advice is to search carefully through your change and coin rolls. Pay attention to the details, look for doubling on the letters Liberty, or In God We Trust, or the date. Examine the strike quality and the luster. You never know when you might come across one of these hidden treasures. The legacy of the 1973 penny teaches us patience, perseverance, and the value of curiosity. Many of the greatest finds in numismatics have been made by ordinary people, not by experts. A child searching through a jar of coins with a magnifying glass might stumble upon a fortune. A retiree sorting through a collection passed down from grandparents might uncover history worth millions. This is why coin collecting remains one of the most exciting and rewarding hobbies in the world. It combines the thrill of treasure hunting with the preservation of history and the pursuit of beauty. The 1973 no-mint mark penny is not just a coin. It is a symbol of what makes numismatics magical. It is proof that history lives in the smallest details and that treasures can be hiding in plain sight. So, the next time you see a penny lying on the ground or resting in your wallet, do not dismiss it as worthless. Remember the story of the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Remember that a coin once minted for just 1 cent could hold the power to change lives and make headlines. Who knows, the next great discovery could be waiting in your pocket right now. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the world of the 1973 Lincoln 1-cent coin. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, because we will continue exploring the mysteries of rare coins and treasures that might just be hiding in plain sight. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and keep believing that the next great discovery could be yours. Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Today we are going to dive deep into the fascinating world of United States coinage, and more specifically we are going to explore one of the most interesting and rare 1-cent penny coins ever discovered, the 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny coin that today carries an astonishing current market value of $78,334. This coin is not just an ordinary piece of change you find in your pocket. It is a treasure that carries history, rarity, and value that has shocked collectors around the world. Let us begin with the historical background of the Lincoln cent, because to understand why this particular coin is so valuable, we need to go back in time. The Lincoln cent first appeared in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. The United States Mint decided to honor Lincoln because he was one of the most admired leaders in American history, and it was also the very first time that a real person appeared on a circulating American coin. Before this era, coins usually displayed symbols like Lady Liberty or other allegorical figures, but in 1909 Victor David Brenner, a talented sculptor, was chosen to design the new penny, and his portrait of Abraham Lincoln was placed on the obverse or front of the coin. For decades, the Lincoln penny has gone through many changes, from the wheat ears reverse design that ran from 1909 until 1958 to the memorial reverse that started in 1959 in honor of the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The design kept evolving, and collectors have studied every detail, from small changes in lettering to doubling of images and even errors that slipped past the mint. This is where the story of the 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny becomes truly fascinating. Now let us focus on the year 1995. During this time, the United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents at several facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Normally, coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint do not carry a mint mark, while coins from Denver carry the letter D and coins from San Francisco usually carry the letter S, especially for proof coins. However, what makes the 1995 penny stand out is not just the absence of a mint mark, but a combination of striking characteristics and extreme rarity. The Philadelphia Mint in 1995 produced a massive number of pennies, but among them only a tiny fraction displayed unique details that later caught the attention of numismatists. What makes this particular 1995 no-mint mark penny worth more than $78,000 is not only that it was struck in Philadelphia without the mark, but that it comes from a very rare category of high-grade error-free coins with perfect strike quality. Collectors prize examples like this because they represent the absolute best of the best in terms of condition, rarity, and desirability. Now let us dive deeper into why condition matters so much. In coin collecting, condition is graded on a scale from 1 to 70, where 70 represents a coin in flawless mint state condition. The 1995 no-mint mark penny that has reached the market value of $78,334 is graded at the very highest levels, which means it looks exactly as it did the day it was struck nearly 3 decades ago. The shine, the luster, the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait, and the crispness of the lettering all contribute to making this coin extraordinary. Collectors are willing to pay massive amounts for such pristine examples because only a handful survive in such condition. We must also understand the psychology of coin collectors. For many collectors, owning a rare penny like this is more than just about money, it is about history, pride, and achievement. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of people overlook every single day, yet in this particular state it could change your life. A penny worth $78,000 is a true reminder that treasures often hide in plain sight. The story of the 1995 penny is also connected to one of the most famous errors in coinage history, the 1995 double die obverse penny. This variety shows clear doubling in the words liberty, and in God we trust, and in the date 1995 itself. While those double die examples are highly collectible and worth thousands of dollars depending on grade, the no-mint mark pristine Philadelphia struck penny in its perfect state goes even further in value. It is not necessarily an error coin, but instead a perfect storm of rarity, grade, and demand. Collectors at major auctions have competed fiercely to own one of these coins. Auction houses such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have reported record-breaking sales whenever such coins come to the market. In many cases, bidding wars erupt as collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents want to complete their sets with the finest examples known. When you combine rarity with competitive demand, the result is a skyrocketing price tag such as the $78,334 achieved by one of these remarkable coins. Now let us take a closer look at how you might identify whether you have a valuable 1995 penny. First, examine the obverse side, which features Abraham Lincoln. Check the details in his portrait and look closely at the date. If you notice any doubling in the lettering or date, you may have a doubled die, which alone can be valuable. Next, check the reverse side, which shows the Lincoln Memorial. Make sure there are no unusual die cracks or other mint errors, which could also increase value. Finally, consider the overall condition of the coin. If it shows no scratches, no discoloration, and has sharp details, it may be worth grading professionally. Professional grading is done by organizations such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, known as PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, known as NGC. These services authenticate the coin, assign a grade, and encapsulate it in a protective holder. A 1995 penny that is authenticated and graded at the highest levels can transform from a simple 1-cent piece to a life-changing treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. The story of this coin teaches us an important lesson about paying attention to the small details. Every day, millions of pennies pass through people's hands, and most are ignored, but once in a while someone discovers a gem that makes headlines. Imagine finding such a coin in your change jar, in a drawer, or even in an old collection inherited from a relative. That is why collectors always encourage others to check their coins, because you never know what you might uncover. The cultural significance of coins like this also deserves mention. Coins are more than money, they are small pieces of art, history, and national identity. When you hold a Lincoln cent, you hold a piece of America's story, from the Civil War president to the struggles of the 20th century and beyond. The fact that one of these coins can be worth over $78,000 today shows just how much passion collectors have for preserving and celebrating history. So, what is the future outlook for the 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny? Experts believe that prices could continue to rise as more collectors enter the market, and as pristine examples become harder to find. Unlike many modern coins, which are produced in enormous quantities and often saved in uncirculated rolls, the 1995 penny was mostly used in everyday circulation, which means very few were preserved in mint state condition. As time goes on, fewer perfect examples will remain, which naturally pushes the value even higher. To summarize the journey, we began with the origins of the Lincoln cent in 1909. We looked at the design history and the transition through decades. We examined the unique aspects of the 1995 no-mint mark penny, its rarity, its condition, and its auction results. And we reflected on the cultural meaning of collecting coins. The current market value of $78,334 is not just a number, it is proof of how something so small can carry enormous importance. As we close this video, remember to always check your change, your jars, your collections, and even your family heirlooms, because treasures can appear where you least expect them. The story of the 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny shows us that history is alive in our pockets, and sometimes it is worth more than we ever imagined. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into one of the most fascinating pennies in United States history. If you enjoyed this exploration and want to learn more about valuable coins, rare errors, and the secrets hidden in everyday money, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more amazing stories to life, and together we will continue uncovering the hidden treasures of numismatics. Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Today we are going to dive into one of the most fascinating and surprising stories in the world of coin collecting, the story of the 1996 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a coin that may look ordinary at first glance but has the potential to change your life forever, with a current market value reported as high as $89,355. Now, before we begin, let me ask you this: have you ever picked up a penny and tossed it aside without even looking at it, thinking it was just worth a single cent? If so, you are not alone. Millions of people handle pennies every day without realizing that hidden treasures could be right in their pocket change. Today we are going to uncover the full history of the Lincoln penny, why the 1996 no-mint mark coin is so valuable, and how you could possibly find one in circulation. Let us start by going back in time to the origins of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909. To honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the very first coin in United States history to feature a real person's portrait on the obverse side, and it was designed by Victor David Brenner. This was a major turning point because before that coins usually carried images of liberty or symbolic designs, but never a real person. Lincoln's face on the penny immediately gave it popularity and respect. Through the years, the Lincoln cent has gone through several changes, from the original wheat ears reverse design from 1909 to 1958 to the familiar Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959, and then later to the shield reverse design in 2010. Each change marked a chapter in American history, but through all these decades the penny remained a staple in pockets, purses, and piggy banks across the nation. Now let us zoom in on the year 1996. By this time the Lincoln Memorial reverse was still being used, and the penny was being struck in large numbers at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Coins made in Philadelphia generally carry no mint mark, but here is the detail that makes 1996 so special. While most Philadelphia minted coins are common, the no mint mark era penny from this year is considered exceptionally rare because of certain striking anomalies and very limited survival numbers. You see, mint marks are tiny letters on coins that identify the mint where they were produced: P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, S for San Francisco. But in 1996 something unusual happened. A very small batch of Lincoln cents left the mint without a mint mark at all. While some no mint mark coins are standard for Philadelphia production, collectors identified a specific 1996 issue that carried certain features combined with errors that elevated its value tremendously. Collectors around the world soon began to notice that not all pennies from 1996 were created equal. While billions were struck and circulated for just 1 cent value, the small number of no mint mark rarities became objects of intense fascination in the numismatic community. What makes this coin so valuable is not just its missing mint mark, but also the condition and rarity in which it is found. Many of these coins disappeared into circulation unnoticed, but a handful that survived in pristine condition ended up commanding staggering prices at auctions. Imagine holding a penny that looks just like any other copper-plated zinc coin, only to discover that it has the power to fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auction. That is the kind of magic and thrill that coin collecting brings. The 1996 no mint mark Lincoln penny is valued today at as much as $89,355, depending on its grade, rarity, and collector demand. That is an astronomical amount for a coin that was originally worth just a cent. Now let us talk a bit about the physical details of the coin. It weighs about 2.5 grams, is made of a zinc core with a copper plating, and carries the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, designed by Brenner. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial standing tall with great detail and tiny representations of Lincoln inside the statue. These design elements are what give the coin its beauty, but the missing mint mark error is what gives it its fortune. Why would a coin like this sell for so much? Well, there are several reasons. First, scarcity plays a big role. Coins that are difficult to find in high-grade conditions are always desirable. Second, historical intrigue drives collectors to bid high when an anomaly is discovered. Third, the emotional factor cannot be ignored. Collectors are often willing to pay incredible amounts to complete their collections and secure a coin that few others will ever own. Over the years, auction houses have reported some jaw-dropping results for high-grade 1996 no mint mark pennies. Stories circulate of lucky finders who pulled one of these coins from circulation and later discovered they were sitting on a small fortune. This is why so many people today take the time to look carefully at their change and search through old jars of coins sitting in their homes. You never know when one coin could turn into a life-changing discovery. Let us also consider the journey of a coin like this. How did it survive in mint state condition all these years? How did it manage to escape heavy circulation without scratches, wear and tear, or discoloration? Only the luckiest pieces managed to remain untouched, often being set aside in mint sets, coin rolls, or collections before people even realized their potential. These coins later surfaced in the numismatic market and shocked collectors with their incredible value. The story of the 1996 no mint mark penny is also a reminder of how important grading is in the world of coins. A coin that looks flawless to the naked eye may still carry microscopic imperfections. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC examine these coins under magnification and Assign them a grade from 1 to 70. Coins graded 65 and above, especially those in mint state red designation, can achieve astronomical values. This is why if you think you might have a rare penny, it is always worth getting it professionally graded. A small investment in grading could turn an ordinary-looking penny into a certified treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. Now imagine for a moment you are holding one of these rare 1996 no mint mark Lincoln cents. You take it to a coin shop or auction house and watch the reactions of experts as they realize what you have in your hand. The bidding begins, and suddenly what you thought was just a penny becomes a coin valued at nearly $90,000. It is the kind of story that keeps collectors hunting, searching, and dreaming. So what should you do if you want to search for one of these coins? Start by checking any jars of old change lying around in your home. Look through rolls of pennies from the bank and pay attention to the details when examining coins. Always check for mint marks, dates, and conditions. Do not dismiss any penny just because it looks ordinary. Treasures are often hidden in plain sight. Another key tip is to use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to carefully examine coins' details. Sometimes the smallest differences separate a regular coin from one worth a fortune. Lighting conditions are also important, because errors or anomalies may only be visible under close inspection. Let us pause here and reflect on something deeper. Coins like the 1996 no mint mark penny are not just valuable objects, they are also pieces of history. Every coin tells a story of the time it was made, of the economy, of the minting process, and of the people who used it in daily life. Coins pass through countless hands, they are carried through decades of change, and yet some survive as historical artifacts that command our fascination and admiration. The Lincoln cent itself is a story of American resilience. It has survived over a century of changes, economic shifts, and political transformations, and yet it continues to circulate as one of the most enduring symbols of American currency. As we continue our journey in this video, let us think about the passion of coin collectors worldwide. These are people who dedicate their lives to studying minting processes, varieties, errors, and historical significance. They scour flea markets, estate sales, and coin shows, searching for that one rare gem that could complete their collection or make history when it sells at auction. For the 1996 no mint mark penny, its place in numismatic history is secure. Collectors will remember it as one of those unexpected rarities that turned an ordinary year into a remarkable story, and as more people become aware of its value, the demand and prices are only likely to increase. Friends, when you look at a penny from now on, do not see it as just a cent, see it as a potential treasure chest waiting to be discovered. Think of the countless possibilities and remember that hidden fortune could be sitting right in your change. The next time you stop at a store, receive coins as change, or roll pennies with your kids, take a moment to look closely, because you never know if you might be holding the next rare and valuable coin just waiting to be discovered. In conclusion, the 1996 no mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It is a lesson in patience, observation, and the rewards of paying attention to the little things in life. From a face value of just 1 cent to a market value soaring above $89,000, this coin is a true numismatic treasure. So keep your eyes open, keep searching, and who knows, maybe one day you will be the lucky finder of this remarkable piece of history and fortune. Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed learning about this incredible coin, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on more amazing coin stories, treasures, and discoveries that could be hiding in plain sight.